Welcome to the Easter story. When it's Easter, many of us receive chocolate eggs. What a treat! Now, some eggs contain surprises, like these ones. Surprise eggs. Would you like to open one, Natalie? Inside the surprise egg, you find a little surprise, a little toy that you can play with. Now, what if one day you receive a surprise egg, but inside is a real surprise? What if you'd open your surprise egg and inside there is no surprise? Well, that would be surprising, wouldn't it? Well, the Easter story is a little bit like that. The Easter story has a rather big surprise. In this lesson, we're going to look at the Easter story from the Bible. Did you know that Easter is a Christian festival? And not just a time where people go on Easter egg hunts and eat lots and lots of chocolate. In the Easter story, we meet Jesus. Now, Jesus is very important in the Christian faith. They believe he gave his life for his friends. Shall we listen to the story?
Jesus and his disciples went to Jerusalem for the Passover feast. Jesus rode on a donkey. "Hooray for Jesus!" the people shouted. "Jesus is king!" Some people took off their coats and laid them in front of the donkey. Others cut off palm branches from the trees and waved them about excitedly for Jesus. But some of the religious leaders didn't like Jesus. They saw how many people were following him and they were jealous. So the religious leaders made a plan to get rid of Jesus.
A few days later, Jesus and his 12 friends sat down to eat. They were having a special meal to celebrate the Passover feast, and they were eating lamb and bread and drinking wine. It was a nice meal. But Jesus was sad. "What's the matter, Jesus?" asked one of his friends. "I have to go away," said Jesus. "I'm going to die." Now, Jesus' friends were sad too. Then Jesus took a piece of bread and he said a prayer. And he said, "I will never forget you, and I don't want you to forget me either." Then he broke the bread and he passed it round to all his friends and he said, "This bread is like my body. I will give it up for you." And then Jesus took a cup of wine and he said, "This wine is like my blood, and God will use it to wash away all the bad things that anyone has ever done." And then Jesus and his friends went out into a nearby garden to pray.
While Jesus was out in a garden praying, soldiers came to arrest him. They grabbed him and dragged Jesus before the religious leaders, and they decided that Jesus had to die. The next morning, the soldiers took Jesus out of the city to a lonely hill where they nailed him to a cross. His friends watched from a distance. There was nothing they could do. And then it happened. "It is finished," Jesus cried out. And in the sadness and the darkness, Jesus died. Everyone who loved Jesus was very sad. Jesus' friends took his body down. They wrapped it in a cloth and they laid his body in a special cave. They rolled a heavy stone in front of the entrance. It seemed like the end of everything. But God had other plans. In a few days' time, something would happen, something amazing and fantastic and wonderful.
Early on Sunday morning, just as the sun was beginning to rise in the sky, Mary and her friends went to the cave where Jesus had been buried. They were sad that Jesus had died, and they had come to look after his body. They talked about the huge stone in front of the cave. How are we going to move it? They wondered. But when they reached the cave, they couldn't believe their eyes. The heavy stone had been rolled away. Suddenly, an angel appeared. "Please don't be afraid," the angel said. "Jesus isn't here anymore. Jesus isn't dead. He is alive." Mary and her friends were amazed. They ran back to tell everyone the good news. Jesus is alive again. Later, when Jesus' friends were all together, suddenly Jesus was among them. "Look at my hands, look at my feet, and see the scars," he said. "It's really me." Jesus' friends were so happy that Jesus was alive again. Then Jesus said, "I want you to go and tell everyone what has happened. I want everyone in the whole world to know that I am alive." And that's exactly what they did. Jesus spent about 40 days with his friends. Then one day he took them to a hill and said goodbye. Then Jesus went up to heaven. Christians believe that Jesus is alive today and that he still looks after people here on earth. Now I wonder, can you tell me a happy moment in the story? If you need to think about it for a moment, you can pause the video. And can you tell me a sad moment in the story? Now this story was full with sad moments, but also with happy moments. And some of those happy moments were very surprising.
Christians believe that Jesus died on the cross, not just because bad people had killed him, but also because it was part of God's plan. Jesus died on the cross to forgive people for all the bad things that they think, all the bad things that they say, all the bad things they do. We call those things sin. And he came alive again because he was the Son of God, and he had done nothing wrong himself. Christians celebrate Easter with special services at their churches. They might also eat chocolate eggs too, to remind them and to celebrate new life. When they think of the day that Jesus died, Good Friday, they say sorry to God for the wrong things they've thought, the wrong things they've said, and the wrong things they've done. And when they remember the day Jesus came back to life, Easter Sunday, they thank God for loving them so much that he gave his only Son to die on the cross. Christians believe that because Jesus came back to life again, they will be able to live with God in heaven forever after they die. They believe that although Jesus was God's Son, he gave up his life so that everyone could be friends with God.
Easter eggs remind us of the empty tomb when Jesus had risen from the dead. What a surprise was that! Easter eggs are empty inside because Jesus was no longer in the tomb. He had risen from the dead. Why not remember that when you get to enjoy your Easter eggs? Happy Easter, everyone, and see you next time for another lesson from the Watford Schools Trust.